Hi guys, so today's video is going to be my July TBR. So before we jump into the books themselves, a big thank you to Glasses USA who is sponsoring this video, and this particular partnership this month is very exciting because we have special glasses to talk about. We are still going to be doing my usual giveaway, and I'll mention how to enter that to get yourself a pair of glasses. But anyway, to talk about what is so special about this month, I actually have a little video too that I'm going to show you. But Glasses USA has partnered to make transition lenses, so you can pick different pairs from their website and get your own transition lenses. And on top of that, they're not just your basic transition where they just go from light to a darker shade. They actually have super fun colors as well that you can select from, kind of as a celebration of spring summertime. The colors are very cute, so I'm going to show you the way in which the colors transition so you can see inside all the way up to outside. GlassesUSA.com has partnered up with Transition Optical to bring the Transition Pastels collection. So they start out as regular glasses, and then as you go into the sun, they get darker. The tint is going to change depending on just how much light is hitting your glasses. So you can see here that when I am under the porch, the tint isn't too strong, but as I go into more direct sunlight, it gets stronger. And the exciting part is that they have these really cute seasonal colors: paradise blue, sunset yellow, coral pink, and sage green. I went with the coral pink. I just think it goes with so many things and it's such a cute color. And as with all of their transition lenses, the Pastels collection blocks 100% of UV rays and helps protect against harmful blue light both indoors and outdoors. If you're interested in these transition lenses, there is 1,000 of each color available, so it's a limited amount. I have a couple of other frames that I want to mention so that you can see the different styles. There's one in particular I've been wearing a lot lately, and I don't know that I've really mentioned it before. I don't know if I've ever really shown all of you, but for those of you who like rose gold, which I'm a big fan, I absolutely love these glasses. I've been wearing these probably the most as of late, and they have that little bit of the cat eye slight point. And then I always love this pair. They're a little bit more on the fun side, I think. They kind of have that classic round shape, but I absolutely love these glasses with more of the lighter pastel colors, like the light blues, the light pinks, and just in general that kind of cozy vibe with how you're dressing. So if you're dressing in more comfy clothes, which I think a lot of us, that's kind of the direction our fashion has gone after everything that happened last year and working from home and all of those things. Casual but bright, fun colors. So I think that these go with so many of those so nicely, but of course you can still wear them with the fancier attire if you'd like. As for how to enter the Glasses USA giveaway, all you have to do is follow Glasses USA's YouTube channel and then also comment down below, have the glasses emoji in your comment, and that is it. I will be announcing the winner over on my community tab, so be sure to be on the lookout over there to see if you end up winning. But anyway, jumping into July's TBR. I'm going to start with some books that I'm hoping to begin here in June and then continue on and finish in July. So there's 3 books here. They're all fantasy. They're all the second books in fantasy series, and I would say fantasy series that maybe aren't quite as popular. They're a little underhyped. And so those would be, I know a lot of you are going to be happy to see this, Valor, The Bitter Twins, and The Icosar Falcon. The Icosar Falcon is the second book after The Wolf of Oren Yaru, so I recently read that one. It's going to be in a vlog. Not sure if this video or the vlog is going up first, but I read that book. I flew through it. It follows a woman who is a queen whose husband, who should be helping her rule, something happened between the two of them 5 years before the main events of the book, and they have the opportunity to come together and to try to figure out what's going on, but you kind of are also in the dark, and then lots of stuff goes wrong. The main character then has to try and be scrappy and claw her way to trying to survive. So I quite enjoyed that first one. I'm very much looking forward to the second one. I really want to see where this goes. It's not a very popular series, but the reviews that I have seen seem to find every single book gets better, that the world gets expanded on even more. In the first book, we just follow that one main character. It's first person. So I think that the more extensive world building is kind of balanced out by the first person narration and only having that one point of view. The Bitter Twins, this is by Jen Williams. It's the second book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy, the first one being Ninth Reign, which I often talk about. I loved that book last year, and I have been meaning to read this second book for so long now. I've continuously put it on TBRs and not been able to get to it, but I loved Ninth Reign. It's bizarre. It follows these three main characters. One of them is not your traditional witch, but she's a witch with very interesting powers. We follow a character who I always say is kind of like a very vain, self-absorbed Geralt of Rivia is how he comes across. He's a part of this ancient race of people that are somewhat elven-like, but also sort of like vampires. And then we follow a woman who's just a rich lady trying to figure out some stuff because the world is very mysterious. I loved it. I have a whole review if you'd like to hear more because it's very interesting and very unique and very different, so it's hard to discuss in just a short amount of time. But either way, love the first book. It just goes up. The book for so long, you're like, what the heck is going on? And then it just goes up in momentum. I did start it a few months back, and I got about 50 pages in, and I was loving the beginning. It just picks up right away. So I'm hoping, I'm going to restart it, and I'm hoping to just have that momentum carry me through. I'm so excited to be back with these characters. So yes, going to be starting this one very soon. And then Valor. If you watched my summer TBR, I mentioned that this was not top priority because I felt kind of lukewarm about Malice and I had every intention of continuing the series, but I just wasn't in any hurry. But so many of you were like, oh, please keep going. So many of you, similar to the Icosar Falcon, said that this series gets better with each book, and so I'm trusting you. I'm gonna see. I also saw a few different reviews that said basically the exact same things that I felt about the first book, and then they instantly were gripped and were so head over heels in love with the second one. I'm still a little nervous because a few of you are like, I hated the whole series, or I thought that the second book just amplified everything I didn't like about the first one. So I'm still going in cautiously optimistic, but hoping to get around to this one very soon. Now shifting into some books that I probably won't be able to start until July. The first one's going to be The Book of Coley. I don't know a ton about this. I have said before when I've mentioned this in hauls and other such things that my friend Jade from the channel Bedtime Bookworm, when she's described this, I thought it sounded like the video game Horizon Zero Dawn, which I love, and talk about an original story. I love that book or that video game, I should say. It's not a book. I love that video game so much, and Jade has played that video game, so when she was describing this, she then eventually said, it reminded me of Horizon Zero Dawn, and I was like, oh, okay, so that connection wasn't just me. So I don't know much else besides that, but that's all I needed to know. That game, for those of you who aren't video game people or just don't know at all, it's kind of a post-apocalyptic sci-fi civilization has been broken apart, and there's these weird dinosaur monsters basically that are also like machines. It's you think when I remember the first time I saw the preview for Horizon Zero Dawn, I thought there's no way they're going to explain robot dinosaurs. This is never going to make sense. And I played it and they made it made sense, and it was cool. So anyway, I love that video game. Who else so badly wants the next one? Oh my gosh. But anyway, I've heard that this is kind of like it, and I'm in a little bit of a sci-fi mood, so I'm trying to read a little more sci-fi. I recently picked up The Martian, did not like it, DNF'd it, so I don't want to give up though. I still want to see if maybe I can tap into that sci-fi mood and find something I'm really enjoying, so I'm hoping that this will scratch that itch. Sticking with sci-fi, and then also similar to the first few, with books that are second books in series, we have the second book in the Chaos Walking series, and then Wildcard. So Wildcard is the sequel to Warcross. It's a virtual reality story. It follows a character who is a hacker. She kind of hacks her way into this huge event, that is involving virtual reality and a lot of bets. And the person who created this game, this kind of genius character, they end up hiring her to try and find a different hacker. So it's very fast-paced, and overall I thought it was quite fun. A lot of people say it's one of her weaker works, but I was like, hey, that was enjoyable. It's a duology, so there's just the second book and then it's done. Seems like a lot of people also don't really like this second book, and they think that it should have just been a standalone. I want to find out for myself. I already had the unpopular opinion of kind of liking the first one, so I'm hoping to read this one. Different kind of sci-fi, of course, not quite the same. So I'm hoping to read these different kinds of sci-fi. And on that note, the second book in the Chaos Walking series. So the first one, The Knife of Never Letting Go, it follows a character who's living in this new planet where this particular area they're living in, all the women are gone and you don't know why, you don't know what caused it, and all the men can hear each other's thoughts, but it's so constant and so loud that it's referred to as noise. The book is written in a very interesting way in that our character can't really read, so it's written in first person, kind of how he thinks in his mind. Getting back into fantasy though, there are 3 anticipated releases that I'm wanting to read. One of them is Six Crimson Cranes. This is one of my most anticipated releases. It is kind of a classic story and it's a retelling. Also, I have For the Wolf and Half Sick of Shadows. This is by Laura Sebastian, who wrote the Ash Princess trilogy, which is super tropey, kind of ridiculous, kind of over the top, but I had a good time with that series. And this is her adult fantasy debut. It's a King Arthur retelling, but from the Lady of Shalot's perspective. And then For the Wolf has been compared to a couple of very atmospheric books, one of which would be The Bear and the Nightingale. That's one that is not my usual cup of tea. I thought it was extremely beautifully written and the atmosphere was incredible, but I didn't necessarily love that book, and so I don't know how much I'm gonna love this one. But the initial synopsis, it says, as the only second daughter born in centuries, Red has one purpose, to be sacrificed to the wolf in the wilder wood in the hope he'll return the world's captured gods. After that, we have some kind of sort of buddy read books. So a little update for those of you, I know not everybody watches every video, so apologies if you have seen me talk about this, but if you haven't, I know a lot of you were really excited about the buddy reads that Jessie, May, and I were going to be doing this year. We did a couple of them at the beginning of the year. We had told you all that we would be tentatively planning on live shows, and that was because Jessie was pregnant at the time that we were talking about the buddy reads. She has since had her little baby, and she's doing great, but of course she's focusing on her little baby and mom life. So what her and I are planning on doing is we're going to hopefully do a live show here in maybe a couple months and talk about a bunch of the buddy reads from this year. So I will have the buddy reads video linked in the description bar if there are any books that catch your eye from that list that you want to hear us talk about, and I'll update you as we get closer to actually recording it. I just want Jessie to enjoy her time being a mom and not stress about this. And anyway, moving on though, one of those books is Hood, which is a Robin Hood retelling. I did not realize I had so many retellings on this TBR, but either way, this is one that I typically think of retellings for fall, but because it's supposed to be a Robin Hood retelling and I think it's supposed to be kind of on the fun side, I'm hoping that it's going to fit summer really well and just be kind of adventurous. After that is one that I'm not necessarily buddy reading in a formal fashion. I'm just tagging along with the other people who are going to be reading this, and that would be The Wolf. Leanna from Leanna's Library loves this book a lot, so she's described it much better than me. I haven't read it, but essentially it's what if more humanoid beings had survived the Ice Age. What would that kind of world look like? So that's the general idea of the story. Her and Alan from Library of Alexandria are going to be reading this, and I think doing a live show and everything for it. And then the last fantasy book for this TBR, and then there's just a couple other things to mention. So this one is going to be a buddy read that kind of goes from July through August for my patrons. So I've had a very busy last couple of months in my personal life, but I think we're starting to get to a point where those sorts of things are not going to be as significant as in my life. So it just has to do with some stuff, taking care of things involving my father's passing from last year. Obviously, those sorts of things are quite emotionally taxing, and I've just not been able to maybe read as much as I was hoping to this year so far, or be as engaged as I would like. But like I said, I think we're kind of finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel here, and I'm just excited to get back to hanging out with my patrons. I'm always like, why does anybody support me on Patreon? I don't know, but you're all wonderful who do. And the book that they ended up voting on was The Jasmine Throne. I was so surprised because I had Shadow of the Gods for the vote on there, and another option was The Emperor's Blades, and I'm spacing on what the other one was, but I was so surprised to see The Jasmine Throne win. I've heard very good things about this one so far. It is so yellow. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's yellow looking at it, but seeing it on the camera, the color's intense. But either way, I've heard really good things about this one. It's a newer release, so I don't know too much about it, but I hear that we've got fantastic main characters, a lot of intrigue, a lot of kind of maneuvering, outsmarting, outwitting, and the main character, I guess, is kind of a little bit flawed, a little gray, but they do what they have to do. I don't know much else, but all of those things sound very intriguing to me. Last up, we have a nonfiction pick. I'm not sure which one I'm going to read. All of these are ones that I'm hoping to read in the near future, sometime throughout summer, but I just don't know which one I'm going to read in July, and I'm leaving that a little bit open. So we have In Order to Live, which is a woman's story about living in Korea, North Korea, and then leaving. And then we also have The 100 Years' War on Palestine, which details Palestine's history, something I definitely have realized that I don't know very much about and would like to learn more of. And then we have Know My Name by Chanel Miller, which is a memoir about a sexual assault survivor. I would love to know what you've been reading. What are your thoughts on any of the books that I mentioned? Don't forget to check out glassesusa.com. Check out the transition lenses. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. But anyway, I hope all of you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.